except for LinkedIn. So we'll give LinkedIn a few seconds to catch up. Um, we start off on X and Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and eventually make our way to LinkedIn whenever LinkedIn decides to pay attention. So we'll give them a few seconds here. Um, I think they're slower than they have been the last couple days. Um, it honestly cracks me up. There are 5 things that go live when I hit go live. 4 of them do it instantly. LinkedIn turns out 50 seconds. Um, Welcome to anyone on LinkedIn who is joining us. According to the numbers in front of me, that is 0, but that is totally okay. Welcome to Building Public University. I need to do a better job at introing this when I start off. That was one of the things that I got from the feedback from my AI friend that I built to give me feedback. And that's part of what we're doing here. We're learning how to use AI to do different things. We're learning how to really position ourselves for a successful future. And we're going to do that in a few different ways today. So, the theme for this Thursday and possibly future Thursdays, although I don't guarantee that ever with any of these topics, is thinking things through Thursday. And I chose this for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's wonderfully alliterate. Excuse me, wonderfully alliterative. And that makes me happy, and it's fun to say. Thinking things through Thursday. I highly recommend you try it. But it's also a good follow-up because I've got a writing practice on Thursday mornings. It's normally a circle, but today it was just a point. It was just me. But that's okay because I use that time to really work through some ideas. And let me start sharing my screen now. Let's see, we can do that, and then we can go to that one, and kaboom, perfect. Okay, so we're going to start off. So we're back in the Building Public University Claude project. As usual, this is where I tend to spend quite a bit of time in Claude. Go Claude. Anthropic, let's talk about sponsorship, man. We can do it. And that's actually, so here's the feedback I was getting: a 5-minute intro segment. I did 3. Okay. I could probably do a better job of that. But I guess maybe I'm still introing, so I can stretch this out to 2 more minutes, and that'll be okay. All right. So we've got that part of it. The technical part in the background right now, I'm just going to give an update on that. What I am working on doing is setting up a pipeline that I can stream from and have the live video being transcribed on the fly, and then having this transcript passed into AI agents that basically live tweet my show here and create content based on that. One of the things that I realized is that I create too much stuff, which is really funny because AI creates too much stuff too, and it's a lot easier to flood the zone with AI stuff because you can make it match patterns. My whole thing is I'm creating a bunch of stuff that that hasn't been created before. I've been working on original research and new models and different ways of thinking. And I've been tying in, all these aspects from like startup culture and creator economy, and various traditions. This is something that I think doesn't get enough play. We want to look at the things that not only are moving fast now, but the things that have remained stable for a very long time. We want to balance out speed with stability, and that's what Building Public University is about. It's an institution for the internet. What is an institution? An institution is something that you can count on when you need it. That is ultimately what I've settled on. It's something you can trust to be there when you need it. That's it. It doesn't really need to go beyond that. So with Building Public University, the goal is to be there when you need it, and building out an infrastructure that allows us to all flourish and thrive and achieve the great things that we can achieve. Like, I see so much negative shit in the world, and this is my chance to really create a bit of a brighter spark. Uh, in the world that people can take and run with, and that's the plan. I want to create the nexus of content that people can draw from. It's going to be really easy to draw just what you need for my ideas, um, without having to build everything yourself. Because let's face it, building everything yourself kind of sucks. Um, and so with this, as I'm building out this live stream and it gets into the like this automatic transcription, as I said. Also, shout out to Gladia if you're paying attention. Let's talk about sponsorship. I've reached out a couple different ways and haven't heard back yet, but that's the company that I want to do my transcription processing, and I want them to sponsor me for two reasons. First of all, I believe they are a pretty well-funded venture-backed company, and so they have stuff like cash, which Building Public University is not right now, and that's totally fine. We will soon enough, because I realized what we're building with it, and we're building we're building this kind of collective uh, media network, that encompasses all creators, that separates creators from their platforms, um, because it gives the creators more power versus the platforms. And I think, unfortunately, everything has been weighted in favor of the platforms for way too long. So we're going to fight back against that. And if you've seen this before and have been following what I've been doing with MakeTheInternetWeirdAgain.com, and that whole Make the Internet Weird Again campaign, the goal there is to break away from the algorithmic similarities and really key in on what makes you weird and give you a place to find weirdos like you, find your type of weirdos. Um, we've created this internet where we just kind of throw everybody into the same pot, because the bigger the network, the more valuable the company, according to VC standards, which is why I keep telling VCs they are wrong and they refuse to listen. So we're going to prove it to them by building a system that breaks their fucking brains, because they don't understand how people, companies, or money work. So yeah, that's what we're in here for today. But today, if you're just joining us, is Thinking Things Through Thursday. We're going through some deeper thoughts and kind of more long-term thinking. So a lot of the rest of the week has been focused on kind of in the moment, what are we doing right now, and kind of more tactical things. This is more long-term thinking. And we're actually going to do this over in Sublime today. So this is some, for anyone who doesn't know, it's sublime.app. And let me drop my Sublime link in the chat here, because I do want everyone to sign up with it. Sublime is kind of my first official partner with the channel, but they are pretty new. So it is a solely performance-based agreement here. And so you can sign up to Sublime with that link if you do so feel inclined. But Sublime is something that is hard to describe, which is a great way to start off with something that you're trying to sell to somebody, right? But that's what makes it so powerful, I think, because Sari Azout, the founder of Sublime, has I've been following her for the last several years now, and I've been a supporter of her since before Sublime was Sublime, because I just loved her approach to everything. It's a very human, creative, non-algorithmic approach. Everything is very carefully thought through and implemented, and Nothing has been rushed. I think they've been in private beta now for like a year and a half, and they're getting ready to fully go live with it. And it's been an incredible platform, and it's one that I actually don't use nearly as often as I want to, which is really funny. Um, and I've talked about this before. It's one of those things where we live in a world where everything is kind of constantly hitting us in the face for attention. Sublime doesn't do that. Which as a result means I don't pay attention to it unless I'm thinking about paying attention to it. But it's there when I need it. Uh, it's an institution, which is actually funny. That's not how I was thinking about it at all. But like, that's exactly what it is in my life. It's an institution. I know it's going to be there. I have a good feeling of what that general structure is going to be. Um, and like, I know how to use it when I need it to get what I need out of it, kind of. Although I know I can be doing more with it. And actually, I went to a workshop that Salary put on for a small group of us, and it was really cool to kind of see what's coming too, because they've they're doing just some really cool things with it, I believe. And so we're actually going to start here. And so basically, um, uh, Sublime, a good way to think of it as digital garden. It's not social media, it's not note taking, it's not anything. It's where you can craft inspiration gardens, where you can take ideas and put them into different formats. And basically, you've got this idea of a collection. A collection is it's a meme. In the simplest way to think about it, it's whatever you want it to be. It's something that represents a larger group of things, some sort of connection. If you look at the connections I've got here, the collections I've got here, I've got a whole bunch of them. But the one we're going to focus on is Building Public University. It's the one I just started today. And this is something I want to get started doing more of. But we've got so I was going through just some random cards on Sublime, and basically how you use Sublime, I guess. So it's an extension, and you can use it to capture like links or images or snippets of text. And it's actually not just an extension; you can upload directly to the app too. But the extension is what makes it really helpful. And then, like, if we go back here, one of the things that I've been wanting to do is start actually quoting myself in Sublime. This is not something I've ever done, and I realize that's dumb. Like, I've got all of the stuff that I'm writing, but it's like I felt like I had too much of an ego to like quote myself, but then I realized that like that's kind of a dumb way to think, and we're going to fix that. And so like if we just select here, and then I believe the extension does show up there. So we see we got a quote here. And then we'll say automating. Actually, let's change this to automating the idea pipeline, and we'll drop that in Building Public University. And this was actually from that was the day 2, so that was Technical Tutorial Tuesday. We'll create that collection. Okay, we've got that added, and perfect. Boom. There we go. And then yeah, so if you see, it actually shows up on the site here, and it ties it into this page, which in this case is a Claude project, which isn't horribly useful, I think, for other people, but at least the text is there. Eventually, so what I've been doing with the transcripts so far is they have been going out to buildingpublicuniversity.com as I kind of get them done, and I'm realizing like it's starting to take me more time to cut out the content, because I'm trying to cut out more of it, and I don't have it all automated yet. But it is all here, And so eventually what I want to do is I want to identify the various snippets and then be able to kind of quickly go through and highlight those quotes. Um, and yeah, basically start kind of automatically creating some of the different ways to collect various thoughts of mine so that I can um, build on them more easily when I'm trying to do something and kind of just more easily pull everything together when I need to do something creatively. And so, what we're actually going to do with this is we're going to create a canvas. Um, and yes, we do want to start with the canvas here, or start with the collection. Boom. Okay. So here are the cards that I added into this collection, and now we've got it as a canvas. Um, and so, here I was just kind of catching ideas that I thought captured what I'm trying to do with Building Public University. And so, as I'm building out this larger institution, this larger thing that can be relied upon in the future, I was looking for ideas that captured a lot of the things that I found out in my own personal journey along the way. And like if we start up here, so because it's cool, yeah, like I think it's amazing how far that will get you. So many people want to talk about best practices and like ideal decisions. Um, because it's cool as a vibe-based decision that I think you can trust more than you realize, especially if you do it within a building positive sum context. And I think this is the key, right? If you do something because it's cool and it hurts somebody, that's a pretty shitty thing to be doing. But if you're doing it because it's cool and like you're building something and you just think it's neat and like you want to share that cool thing with others, like that's a fucking great way to make decisions. Like you want to build a product, like build a product because it's cool. Um, I highly recommend that. This right here, it's easy to make things hard and hard to make things simple. I've been trying for a long time to figure out what Building Public University is. Um, because it turns out that not everybody has access to all of the context in my head. And because I have been working on this for a long time, there is a lot of context that lives only in my head and not elsewhere. It's been really hard to explain that to people in various ways. And I think now the fact that I've got a live stream is I'm like, it's Building Public University. I'm just live streaming what I'm building and then like sharing conversations with people and setting up this kind of collaborative media sharing environment. And like I was even able to explain to my mom, it's like, oh hey, like I'm live streaming a show every day, and then I'm building out this AI system that takes the transcript, um, automatically turns that into content, and then publishes it. That's the goal. It's this autonomous marketing system based on what I'm doing. Um, and this was really hard to get to. It took me a long time to get to that explanation because that's not what it looked like at first. At first, it looked like a study of money, and it was like, wait, money is information. Cool. I said that, and people were like, well, that's dumb. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Um, and I was like, but this changes everything, and people don't get that. You have to help people walk through all the steps. And that's what idea supply chains are about. And this is something I've been kind of thinking about too. Um, and actually, uh, what we should do is figure out. Okay, so idea supply chain. That's actually the name of my YouTube channel. And I came up with that because I've been thinking about how information flows, right? And I've been trying to figure out ways to explain information to people and like put it into something that other people can understand. Um, And I realized this is actually hard because, an idea supply chain is not exactly linear. And let's see. So this is something I've been trying to figure out. That's not the right tab. Sorry. Let's see. Was it this one? It's this one. Nope, that is not the one. Okay, which project? Might be this one. So I've been working on a sponsorship pitch. Um, and I've been doing it for so I started off with kind of the tools that I was looking at using. And so talked about Gladia earlier. I love Sublime. Sublime is something that I believe in with my whole heart. I still need to reach out to Anthropic. They're kind of a bigger fish that I need to figure out. But as I was thinking about this, I'm like, okay, I want to sell sponsors. I want to sell sponsorships to companies, right? Companies have money. Money is what I need right now. That's who I sell to. And so I'm putting together this sponsorship, and Justin Moore, who, if you're not aware, he's the founder of Creator Wizard, and he has a book out now called Sponsor Magnet. And I say this because I talked about the fact that I was kind of in the middle of chatting with uh, Granola about potential sponsorship. I love Granola, and I'm actually starting to use their note-taking app to take notes during this stream, so that I can also provide like a chat with the transcript kind of functionality, just by default, for anyone who wants to use it. And so I absolutely love that. And so I've been talking to him about like what a potential sponsorship looks like. And so I tweeted out about the fact that I was like, this is kind of cool. Like I'm learning how to negotiate a sponsor deal. Um, and so somebody on Twitter tagged in Justin Moore and someone else. And I know Justin from his work. I've been following his stuff for quite a while. I've chatted with him a couple times. Um, and I was like, yeah, I'm actually flipping back and forth between this and Creator, between the chat and Creator Wizard site, which is somewhat true. Technically, I was kind of running a scraper on his site to kind of compile all the information about how to run a sponsorship, or how to figure out how to create a sponsorship. But it's because like I know that he knows what to do, and I want to compile as much information as possible that then I can kind of feed into like one of the projects so that I can kind of use that to kind of generate these pitches. And so Justin, being a friendly guy and just proud of his work, and he chimed in and was like, hey, he's like, I got you. Here's my book. Get my book and you'll be set. And I'm in a position right now where money is incredibly tight. And I almost navigated away. But then I was like, no. I was like, you know what? Ebook's $9. I can afford that right now. It'll mean there's going to be something else that I can't afford until I secure one of these sponsor deals. But I felt like, in terms of getting what I needed, $9 is probably, well spent if I can figure out how to fucking talk about this sponsor deal the way that it needs to be talked about. And so I was like, all right, I'm buying it. And it's been eye-opening, actually. And let me see if I can Let me find one of the windows here that I can pull it up to. There we go. Cool. Okay. I think. Okay, hold on. Figure out where I'm at here. So the here we go. This is the part that I wanted to kind of highlight here. Oh, and that is actually that's not even displaying on the share. It's only this site. Okay. Cool. Let me do this then. So this is a really simple part, but it was like one of the first things in the book. Boom, there we go. Okay, just grab a screenshot there. Okay, so he's basically talking about how to position yourself for brands. And when I was doing this in the conversation with Granola, they were like, okay, can you tell me more about this university and like what you're thinking? And I was like, yeah, so basically I'm launching this new daily live stream and I'm sharing my original research while I'm building out this autonomous mimetic marketing system. And it was a bunch of word salad. And I'm like, here's my GitHub repo with my it's my PhD repo where I've got my research and a lot of the stuff that I've been doing with Glitch and the autonomous marketing system development. And then eventually, hopefully, going to have all of this as the transcript is generated. It's going to be dropped into GitHub and will be available there as well. And I haven't heard anything back yet. And it has been over 24 hours since this conversation started, which doesn't fill me with a ton of great feelings. But I don't know, because one thing I've learned is that I have no idea who works on what time frame, because nobody's time frame makes any sense to me whatsoever, because I'm doing things super fast and with AI. And I have to remember that most people aren't. And when I do things the way that I do them, I scare most people because I come off overwhelming and just too much. And that is totally fine. And I absolutely love that. The great news is that makes me a perfect media personality, I believe is the phrase the kids use, or not the kids, the admissions tests. I don't know. One of those two things, probably, or not. I don't know. Eventually, when I get the transcript going live, maybe I can fact check myself too. That would be fun. Just figure out how much stuff that I say each time is actually bullshit versus real versus held up by what I've written before. I don't know. Ooh, coffee's hot. But I want to sit on this for a second, because surprising, transformative, and promise. So I started off by thinking about this for Building Public University. And then I thought about it in terms of human insurance. And, one of the neat things that I've been doing with all of this is I've been separating things out into it's a cinematic universe. And I actually so there is somebody that I always talk about on this stream, and I think at this point I'm now 4 for 4 or something on mentions. Maybe not. Again, would love to fact check myself, right? I don't have money for a producer, so I'm just gonna have to build my own fucking producer that does shit. And I can be like, "Hey, Glitch, do this," and Glitch will be like, "Fuck you," and then do it anyway. But like, weird. I don't know. Like, maybe I'll build an AI co-host. Actually, that would be a fun project. We should do that. I Damn it, now I want to do that. See, this is the problem with this stuff. It's all so fucking cool and weird. And I want to do all the things. And I can't do that at the moment, but I can talk about it. And I can talk about it a lot because I've been thinking about it a lot and I've been practicing talking about it. And now I can do nothing but talk about it for hours and hours and hours because I've thought so long about it, I can't fucking shut up about it. And again, most people find this scary. But if I do it online for long enough, a bunch of people will find it and then I'll be cool. It's amazing how the internet can transform your biggest weaknesses into your greatest strengths if you know how to leverage it the right way. And that is really fucking hard, as I found out, because I had no idea what the fuck my strengths were. I kept trying to call myself an engineer and build something magical that people would use, and it would be performative and brilliant, and everybody would just love it and throw money at me as a, an engineer. And I realized, fuck, I'm not actually a good engineer anymore. And I say that because engineers build things that are predictable, reliable, things like that. And I am none of those things anymore. I'm what the kids are now calling a vibe coder, at best. And I'm having a hard time even finishing my vibe coding projects. And mostly because it's just like I need to figure out how to turn some of this into cash. And I've built a bunch of products and none of them have gone anywhere because it's really easy to build and not fucking talk to anybody. I've also talked to a lot of people, but haven't been able to convince them to pay me to build stuff for them. It's been a very weird conundrum in that I've been trying to figure out how to like let people have how to convince people to let me build stuff for them, I guess. Um, and yeah, like I'm not a great builder anymore in that sense, and like um I'm too much in kind of this visionary state. Everything is moving so fast. I'm trying to think about how to structure things in long-lived ways that won't be fucked over by technology. Also, let's go back to Sublime, and we are here on the canvas, and let's actually add a link. Oh, because, hold on. Grab that screenshot again, because I just used it and did not save it. Boom, there we go. Maybe. Okay, don't know where that went. There we go. Okay, cool. I'm using which it's one of the products from every suite of tools that organizes your folder automatically. And so it like does desktop download stuff like that. It's actually fantastic. I love it. But occasionally it does move things from the download folder before I can use them, and then I have to find them again. But so yeah, I want to include that because that's pretty cool. And yeah, so I still have this idea of a supply chain. So that's what I was initially talking about here. So I'm going through this sponsorship pitch. And I was thinking about this, right? So it basically created one because I gave it what I said to Granola, um, and was like, hey, how can we figure out how to make this a better pitch based on kind of all the information in the project? And um, let's see. And so we've got kind of this, it's like, all right, so as our official note taking partner, and this is what I love about Granola, it runs in the background. Um, it automatically prompts me whenever my camera comes on, and it's like meeting detected. And then I can hit open Granola, and it automatically opens up a notepad. And a notepad is great because a notepad is what I love to do to just like jot down notes. Normally, I use a new Google Doc. Granola just gives that to me. And when I'm not taking notes, it's automatically transcribing everything. And it's actually been the best one so far that I found to really capture all of the best details from the meeting. And then you can quite easily like share them out, or there's a chat with meeting function, things like that. Honestly, it is the best AI note taking tool that I found because it doesn't overly concern itself with this idea of like permissions and things like that. It's like, we're all here to get the most information out of this thing as possible. This is the best way to do that. And we're opinionated about that. Um, and it's been phenomenal. I love it actually. And so now as I said, I'm running this during this live stream, and I'm going to start including the chat with functionality. Um, Hopefully as like an official sponsor. And if not, I'm probably still going to do it anyway because it's useful, which is one of the ways I'm approaching sponsorships here. Of like, what things would I be doing anyway? Because I want to maintain credibility with everything I do here. And so everything is transparent. Okay, and that is why we need moderation tools in the chat. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm getting in trouble because I forgot to message people that I'm live. I figured he would be not available, so I didn't text, and now I'm in trouble. Uh-oh. Okay, so what do we have here? So, anyway, but so I was doing this, and then I was like, huh, okay, what if, like, so I'm talking to Justin, and again, like, I've followed him for a while. I love what he's doing. His goal is to really help all types of creators figure out how to um, do better at negotiating with brands. And see, this is the whole thing with Building Public University. It's all about minimizing information asymmetries. And Justin does this perfectly, I think. And so I really respect what he's doing. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I've been drawing from his ideas. Like, why couldn't he be a sponsor? Like, not so much for like sponsoring like with his product, but like with his ideas. I draw from those and I build on top of those same ideas. We share values around this. What if he could be a sponsor? Um, and then I was like, okay. And then that fits into the Creator Insurance Agency, which is my whole idea around how can we help creators really secure their futures, right? Platforms are doing all sorts of crazy shit. You've got fucking Elon Musk dicking around on Twitter and making it a god awful place that I wouldn't be there for except for like a set of people that I interact with on there regularly. Um, and I've been trying to like market on there, and oh god, it's awful. Um, it's so bad at everything that it does, but like there's just a group of people that is holding it together at a core, and Elon hasn't realized it yet. Um, he will once we give people better options. And that's what we're going to do here. But I wanted to tie it in because then I was like, one of the other ideas that I've been playing around with, um, and in fact overwhelmed several people that I admired with, was this idea of like, hey, I would love to give you equity in my company because I have gained a ton from the work that you put out online. And I believe that that should like pay back. Like platforms aren't rewarding you enough. Like I don't think the economy is rewarding you enough for what you do because, as a creator, you have to put a whole bunch of shit out in the world before anybody actually gives a fuck. There's a gap between wanting to be being a creator and like being able to sustain yourself as a creator. Um for me that's been 5 years because I've been trying to do all sorts of other things in the process too. I've been torn between, am I a startup founder? Am I a creator? Am I both? Am I neither? Am I some weird alien? I don't know anymore. But I'm pretty sure I'm actually a creator. And that's where I kind of landed on. But then I was like, all right, so what if like a creator paid a monthly sponsorship and that got them equity in this media company, this media platform? Um, and I think that is a really interesting model now because suddenly what we've got here is we've got this idea supply chain that's starting to take shape. So I'm creating content that is directly right now pulling from Justin's content. Like I literally showed a picture from his book. I showed his landing page. It's because I believe like I've been following him for a while. I trust him. I explained that I'm having the problem that he solves, and then he presented a book that was $9 that is worth fucking millions to me because I'm building out a media platform which can have all sorts of sponsorships, and I want to grow this out, and I want this to be a very large thing, and get a lot of eyeballs. And so, if $9 can help me do that, that's incredible fucking leverage. Um, and the thing is, people see a book and like $9. Like, what fuck can $9 do? $9 is the ultimate compression of like everything Justin has learned. And in just reading the beginning of his book, and I haven't even gotten that far in it, but like it triggered me into this fucking mind-blowing new breakthrough in kind of the models I've been working with because I was able to kind of connect all these dots. Um, and that's what we're doing on Thinking Things Through Thursday. So we're connecting some dots. And then I was like, well, okay, what if creators that I've learned from sponsor the show, and in exchange, that's letting them build up equity in this media company. Um, and this is very cool because what it does is it actually lets creators convert cash flow into security, right? Like, so what they're doing is basically creators are saying, I don't necessarily want to be a creator forever. It's a lot of work to maintain an audience. You have to kind of be doing things constantly. And especially early on when you don't have a team to fucking do anything, it is really fucking hard. So you struggle through all of it. And then maybe you eventually last long enough to be successful. And I think that's maybe the wrong way to do it. I believe that we can give people a way to quite easily gain access to various people and services at a rate that they can afford based on what they need for their business. And so as I'm thinking about this and like what all I can provide, I'm like, okay, so you can actually set it up to where you have this model that basically converts monthly payments into equity. And it's doing this because of the fact that right now there are two things that I need in order to get this stream off the ground. I need money and I need attention. If I partner with creators who are paying me and have an existing audience, they can get me both of those things. As a founder, that is incredibly valuable because it helps me survive. But it also shows trust. All of these creators that I've been following have been building off a basis of trust. They've been transparent. They've been, sharing their journey. They've been sharing what works, sharing what doesn't. And, um, they're having fun with it and they're just setting a great example for other people who are doing it. And it's going to help other people do it right. A lot of times they set up communities around what they're doing. They bring people together to help share ideas. And that's what I want to do with this whole endeavor is to create this network that allows creators to share this at a global scale without running into the coordination errors you get if you try to let people do that, because we've got a lot of people who are saying very similar things but from different angles, and it makes some of the language we use clash. It makes it harder for people to um, understand because we're being faced with all of these kind of competing ideas. And so what this coordination networks does then is it allows us to more accurately share information across platforms without running into this kind of like, oh, I don't want to like aid my competitors, because it really restructures the game as creators versus algorithm, creators versus companies. And so I was listening to a podcast yesterday um, with somebody talking about how in order to build out kind of a flourishing, group of humans, you always need an other. And so how do you do that when you don't want to other any humans, right? And what you have to do is you have to other the memes. You have to other um, the ideas that are bad, because it's not people. Like people exist in their systems. They exist, in their culture, in with their past, with their goals of the future, and that's kind of the beauty of it, right? Where we're trying to figure out how to organize all of these in a way that we can all kind of peacefully live together. Um, how do you do that? And you do it by just like um, creating an other that is non-human, creating one that is alien. And so the two that I've been focusing on, right? You've got the algorithm, and then you've got like companies or industries. So kind of targeting like insurance as an industry, banking as an industry. Like I think the financialization of everything has really fucking sucked. So we're gonna get away from that. We're moving more towards human stuff. So I'm saying like no to financialization, yes to humans. I'm positioning myself against this algorithm, this attention mining fucking bullshit algorithms that everything is pushing. Um, so the Make the Internet Weird Again campaign is a way to fight against that. It's a way to coordinate against the algorithm. Again, we're creating this other entity, this thing that we can bond together to fight against. And the great thing is, the way companies exist is they respond to the market. So they're constantly looking at you and what you're doing, and they're using that to try to gain insights into what they can build to help make your life better. But we have this weird like disconnect between entrepreneurial folks and non-entrepreneurial folks who just want to like have a job and then do their own thing and kind of not focus on that so much. Um, and this is actually a good thing because some people are risk averse and some people aren't. Um, Entrepreneurs tend to love risk, and risk is what pays off, and risk is exactly what should pay off. when you're willing to take a risk that other people aren't, and you manage to be successful in taking that risk, it's like gambling. If you've got longer odds, you get a higher payout, but you also lose more often. Um, the financialization of everything has created these huge complex systems that ensure that nobody can lose at the top, but everybody's losing at the bottom. It fucked the game. But it wasn't a matter of anybody doing anything individually, but it was all kind of feeding off of each other. And it's a broken system. And that's what I've been talking about. It's an extractive system. It leads to what I call complexity inflation. As an organization gets bigger, it's harder to communicate across it. More and more things are necessarily condensed down into tight metrics. And most people are very far away from the value that they are supposedly creating in the world. But when you add complexity to a system, it makes it more valuable in the current world, because all of the money comes into the top in the founder. And it's the founder's job to take that idea and make it a reality. And they're going to do it by trying to plan how to spend all of this money years in advance. And really, it's actually to spend as much as possible now to maximize your chance of success in the future. But there's this really cool loophole where if you just keep raising money, it eventually gets more valuable, except not actually necessarily creating more value. It's all just imaginary value. And you have WeWork, and you have, uh, Theranos, and you have Firefest, and maybe Firefest 2, actually. I don't know. Actually, I don't know that Firefest 2 or Firefest is necessarily like a VC issue, but it's kind of the same problem. It's this system that rewards the appearance. Like, what I learned about raising money is that it's really two parts. It's network and storytelling. You have to be able to tell a compelling story as a founder. There's a reason that I decided to work on being a creator alongside being a founder. I realized that storytelling was the most valuable thing I could do as I was trying to raise money, because I wanted to balance out my risk. That's what I saw investors as, right? Especially kind of this pre-seed round. And everybody's talking about, oh yeah, we fund idea stage founders. And so I realized VCs don't fucking know anything. And that's not their fault. Again, it's the model. And it's the model that it's broken, and it's rewarding the wrong things. And so people are pattern matching on the wrong things and then scaling those incorrect pattern matches. And it's one of those, they don't want to hear it. The grand irony about this, though, is that as I was like figuring all this shit out, and I was like, okay, well, this makes sense now. If creators are paying in sponsorship money, and now I'm setting up kind of this dedicated connection, to this creator, and we can share information back and forth. We're basically building this trust connection. And so over time, they are gaining equity in the platform, the media network, as it grows. They also have the ability to join the show, every so often, and share what they're working on until they have a guaranteed platform. And I can also start offering services. And this is actually what's cool about this model, because it's pay what you want, or pay what you're able to. You can actually start tiering the service offerings, as like, basically, like, at the lowest offerings, you can have nothing but AI tools. AI tools are super cheap to run. But then as you move up, you can kind of go to like, from only AI tools to like AI tools plus like student, AI tools plus like intermediate, AI tool plus advanced, and then like you can actually have this it's basically like this creator guild that as you go up you actually take all the learnings from the top of it and put those into the AI tools that are being used for the lower levels. And what you're doing is you're having the lower levels work as part of the training process. So as they're learning and as they're teaching and as they're creating with this stuff, you really create this virtuous cycle where everybody is working together to improve the overall system. And this is kind of like what I've realized with this is, we actually end up with this idea supply chain that is like multi-connected, and it is this network. It's not a linear thing for ideas. It's a network because it's all based on communication. And what you want to do is you want to actually cross-validate information across different places in the network to validate if it's true, or helpful. Actually, those are two different things. Sometimes untrue things can be the most helpful thing, Um, and this was true at the beginning of my journey. If I knew how hard it was going to be to get where I'm at now, I would have been like, fuck this. Nope. That sounds awful. I would never do that. But instead, I saw, yeah, this will be easy. I'll do it in like 3 months. 5 years later, still haven't really gotten to level one. Assuming level one is that initial investment. And that's why I kind of swore off VCs. The grand irony of this is actually a perfect VC model. Because what it does, the goal of it is to actually exit to public markets. Because then it's kind of out there for everybody. And so this is what I got into here, right? And so I was like, oh, wait, we've got kind of this dual directional pipe. And so if I've got a creator who's like connected to me and like sponsoring me, and then they have their information connected to them, then I can also send content back to them. I'm working on creating a bunch of shit. And again, I know that I'm overwhelming for people. I know that I put out way more than most people can consume. But I can also connect that to AI systems that can parse that information down into stuff that is consumable. And then we can actually allow people to filter what information comes to them as a way to help them like only receive the shit they care about from me. Because I put out a ton of stuff again. But it's all very tightly coupled. Like this is my brain. I'm making all of these connections based on years of research now. And I'm trying to figure out how to get it out there as fast as possible. And that's not always in a product. Sometimes it's just in content. And right now I realize that I can just stream myself talking. I actually make myself more legible to the world because they're able to hear me make connections between ideas in real time. This is something that AI can't quite compete with because I am taking in information faster than it can and integrating it into my training immediately. And I'm building systems that actually also start to do that while having kind of safeguards against like overlearning. And this is something that like big AI companies just haven't quite caught on to yet, but they will. They'll start to see it eventually. But so I started talking about these ideas of like bidirectional pipes. And then like what I want to get this to is like, so starting off, you've got kind of this payment into the system, and then like so you've kind of got equity in the overall system, but then I love the idea of as that starts to grow, you start getting like investment credits for up and coming creators who maybe, it's like, oh, hey, actually, I see a lot of promise in, this new creator who only has 10 followers, 100 followers, whatever. Followers don't matter, right? Like, that's the thing. None of these fucking metrics matter when they're on the platforms. What metrics actually matter? That's what we're going to find out at Build in Public University, because we're going to start creating new metrics and figuring out how to build systems that actually align incentives everywhere in the graph. Because it is possible. It's just been harder when people are only doing the thing that immediately follows the thing that was done before, because that's the fastest route that they see. When in fact, a lot of times the fastest route is a fucking wormhole into a reality that nobody else can see. And that's why humans are fucking cool. We build wormholes with our brains. You just don't even know it. It's going to the future. Think about it. Like, you can peek into what you want your future to be. You can sit there and imagine what you want your life to look like in a week, a month, a year, 10 years. But most of the things around us have us so focused on the now, we never consider the future anymore. Like, it's so hard. Everything is making it hard to figure out what the fuck the future holds. So everybody's just trying to hoard as much as they can and like bunker down and try not to get attached to anything. And that's not the right way. This is a new model that starts to make things easier. It's all about making things easier everywhere in the flow of the money. Like, everything is structured to just build toward the future, because it's not focused on results in terms of followers. It's focused on results in terms of helping future generations of creator be successful. And ultimately, that's what we need. We need it to create this flywheel effect. We need it to really start elevating creators who are doing the right things the right way. But because we're insisting on fucking, dropping millions on a fucking next unicorn, and then fucking messing with the systems to tweak the values to make sure that it ends up a unicorn and pays for the rest of the fucking fund results. Like, it's amazing how many games get played in this complexity that we have. This doesn't play games. This says that as a creator, if you have an audience, you're valuable. Actually, technically, if you're a creator, you're valuable. The audience doesn't matter, because everybody's a creator. And because I've talked before about the fact that I believe everybody is valuable, and I say this because everybody is valuable, everybody's a creator. Everybody has a story to tell, and that story is valuable. We just don't always know where, and we don't always know how to tell that story in a way that makes it valuable. But everybody's story is valuable to somebody somewhere. What we're doing here is we're focusing on capturing that story and turning it into real world results, because the world we've built is fucking terrible at that. As a result, we end up with some people getting access to way more than they need in terms of the resources in order to build what they want to build. And then we have a whole bunch of people who are getting fuck all. I'm tired of that. We're going to fix that. And for a lot of Build in Public University, I'm going to spend a lot of this time highlighting people who are doing the right things the right way, and helping them grow their missions. Because, as we're thinking things through, this is what fucking matters. This is what we want to create. We want to create a world in which everybody can be successful. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, fuck, it's a creator 401k. And that's exactly what it ends up being. And then I said, okay, cool. Well, let's add some bums. So this is an acronym that I, turned this into because I had to force it together, but it's Build in Public University Media Services. And the idea with bums is the bums are the people and tools who aren't worrying about the credit. They're just supporting their creative vision. Um, that's what I want Build in Public University to have as part of it. Um, the most important thing is being able to get eyeballs on the work that's being done. And with everything I'm doing, I'm focusing on how to get eyeballs on things that need eyeballs. And this is a great way to do it. And I also just love the fact that it's, like as part of, it makes it, in the end, you're going to be proud to be a bum because you're going to be able to see what you've been able to help enable, um, without worrying about all the credit, because there's going to be so much value being created. You can't worry about the credit. That's what bums is about. Bums is about scale. The creator is about the thing that doesn't scale. System scale, people don't. As a creator, your job is to be a storyteller. We look at creators as like specifically the content they create. No, they're observing the world around them. They are adapting their model based on what's trending. They're based on what they're seeing in the world around them. They are fucking observers. And they're observing and reporting, right? They're observing the world around them, and then they're reporting to some sort of audience. And so now I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, what does this look like? How do we have every creator be able to kind of join into this? Because this is ultimately what is going to do anything. It's going to be able to like support creators at all levels, from absolute earliest beginners, all the way up to like full production teams. And it's basically, it's understanding that creators are the valuable part, and then projects may or may not be valuable, and projects have a limited time valuation, right? Some things will be popular now and then not later. And when that happens, that's fine. You just go back to the lab and you start working again and figuring out what the fuck to do next. But it's all learning, and it's all exploration, and it's all research. And these are all the same things. And it doesn't matter if it's AI or it's art. It's all the same. And it should be valued the same. We've created the system that completely overvalues the wrong things. And we're going to prove that out through the experiments that we run through this system. And we're going to show how we can support people at scale, just solely on the communication network between them, because that's what this is. It's ultimately just a way to allow communications between people. And then because I laughed about this, I was like, I wasn't really planning on like going the venture scale route and like going public with any of this, but then I was like, this is the perfect reason to do that. So I may end up doing that anyway. And I started thinking about like what a pitch deck might look like for that. Yeah, because I think I think I nailed it. And this is it. This is the ultimate solution, that I can allow people to get into. And this is it. So now it's about taking that and turning it into something else. And started playing around with some like UI designs and things like that. So we'll see how that turns out. Figuring out the equity. There's a group or a company that has been working on stuff for a while called Fairment. And they started initially just looking at like tokenizing equity. And I think that's actually like, I think there's definitely something to be done for that here too. But it's, I've got a call with them next week, and I'm going to ask them about how to maybe implement this, because that's one thing I don't have figured out yet. But I'm hoping that by offering the services, and reaching out to some creators very specifically to start off with, like I think I'm going to open up probably a wait list for general creators, but then really do kind of a a closed launch for the people that I've literally been building off of, and I've got them in my PhD repo as like advisors, and yeah, I think just starting with that and going from there and kind of seeing where that takes us. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Shorter than the other episodes this week, but that was kind of intentional. Um, I have to get caught up on, like, I haven't published yesterday's yet. Then I've got to get this transcript out. Got to start sending out some more emails about sponsors. Now that I've got a pretty good idea of what I'm doing, I think it's time to start reaching out to creators and seeing if some of those sponsorships exist, as well as hammering at some companies who I want to work with some more. So we're going to see where that takes us. Yeah, and then tomorrow's going to be Friendship Friday. And I don't know exactly when I'm going to stream yet or what Friendship Friday is going to look like, but we'll figure that out for tomorrow. And until then, I think I needed to put some more things on here. I think this is something I want to do more of. I want to start reflecting on the week that was and pulling out some of the existing good things. But again, I ended up kind of having this breakthrough this morning as I was thinking about this with the kind of messaging around it. So maybe next week on Thursday, we will go through and kind of go through all the previous episodes and pull out the best quotes and get them into some different Sublime collections and do it that way, because creation is a messy process. You don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know exactly what it's going to look like in the end. All you know is that there's something ahead of you in the fog that you're grasping at. It's the thing that your taste is aware of. But there's a taste gap. And this was an Ira Glass quote. Let's see. I want to do all this to us. Oops. Yeah, so oh, whoops, I don't where did that video? Okay, well, that video just did something. Oh, it's out on the, actually that's perfect. Cool. Oh, also that is too. I don't want that. Yeah, you have to bet on your taste, right? That's taste is it. Taste is the future, taste is the vision. Okay. Interesting chats. Okay, well, Sheila, welcome. 8 a.m. But then Sheila's leaving too, so I don't know. Oh, Sheila's gone. Okay, well, there we go. Cool. First, like, random person to come in and chat and then disappear by the time I notice them in like a minute, because this isn't going to be something that people who randomly come upon it will necessarily like. And that's good. That's good, because what we want to do is we want to actually figure out the people that this is for and then help get it. I'm still confused about the fact that Sheila is not a banana. I don't know. I'm gonna display this comment just because I don't know. It's from the YouTubes. That's the thing. The internet is a weird place, and we need to embrace that. let's fucking do it. Let's be weird on the internet. And make the internet weird again.com is where to make the internet weird. All right. I think that'll shut it down for today. And I will see everyone tomorrow for Friendship Friday and whatever fun surprises that brings, or future breakthroughs, because again, it kind of, I'm having breakthroughs more rapidly than I can capture them, which is why I'm starting to just stream every day live, because fuck, y'all ain't keeping up anyway. So I've got to, just hook it up to the AIs and let you figure out what you want to learn from most. And I'm assuming that there's probably a handful of crazies out there who will just absolutely love hearing me talk about all this shit at the raw level that I do. That's what I'm banking on. Again, it's I talked about this in the beginning. On all other areas of the internet, posting a bunch, sending a bunch of emails, doing whatever, it fucking annoys people. If you do it all live and stream it, suddenly you're a show, and that's a valuable thing. And then you chop it up into content that can be distributed elsewhere through various marketing channels. And this allows me to be my beautiful, messy, creative, unfiltered self, and then apply filters so that other people get the filtered me, because as much as there is about being like unfiltered and authentic on the internet, if you're trying to make money on the internet, it's important to filter yourself in very specific ways so that your messages are received in very specific ways by very specific people. Otherwise, shit is really fucking hard. And so Building Public University is my chaos. It is my place to do all of the shit that I'm doing in a messy way. And then I let the AIs clean up the mess, because fuck it, that's the part I don't want to do. That's the engineering work. I can teach AIs to do engineering much easier than I can teach them to think about things the way I do, and process them as quickly as I do, and in all the ways that I do. So I'm going to focus on being me, and I will talk to you as other people, and then I'm going to let the AIs talk to other AIs and other AIs, and then maybe eventually some other people. And we'll see how that idea supply chain pans out, because as the idea supply chain grows, as the network grows, it becomes more valuable. And as it becomes more valuable, it becomes more secure. And that's how networks work. All right, that's it for Thinking Through Things Thursday, and I will see you for Friendship Friday tomorrow. Love y'all. Peace out.